Hey, hi, hello everybody, welcome back. We've got some more React content here for you today. This time it's Mortuary Assistant. Now, we've been trying to get all the endings for Mortuary Assistant for quite some time now. I am not good at video games, haven't been too successful with it, but nonetheless, the endings, the 5 different endings that I would like to try and get, are explained here in this good old video by Gaming Harry, the wonderful man himself. So, we're going to watch some lore, we're going to get it explained to us, all the bits and pieces of Mortuary Assistant, so we know a little bit more about the game other than what is shown actually playing the game. So, let's press play and see what's going on in the world of Mortuary Assistant. I'm so intrigued. Hey, hi, hello. I did forget to put on the chat box for that one, I'm not going to lie. Oops. If you're watching this again, then from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'm not watching it again, but I am watching it.
The demo for this terrifying game last Halloween. I had to put it on my Steam wishlist. Waited and waited. And then on the 2nd of August, it finally released. The final release had a story, but the story expands upon subsequent playthroughs as each playthrough takes place over the course of one shift. These shifts play out a little differently each time, and there were 5 possible endings to achieve. Endings 1 and 2 were kind of the standard endings, and I guess you could say that endings 3, 4, and 5 were variations of endings depending on the way you approach the shift. If that makes sense.
I still have not looked into the details of how to get the last 2 endings. I believe I have 3 or 5. I don't know how to get the last 2. I know I got the basement. That was pretty difficult, but we're looking for the good ending, and I don't even know what the last one is. So we'll get that explained to us in this, luckily.
Give a little bit of backstory, but this
then maybe I can figure it out.
To the structure of the standard Law and Order videos. But buckle up and let's dive into the story for the Mortuary Assistant.
What an insanely good game. That's the name of the game!
In this game we play as Rebecca Owens. It's 1998
That's
and she just
me.
managed to get an internship at a mortuary. The place where she was studying and learning was full, so her teacher, Mr. Delver, managed to transfer Rebecca to his own office so she can finalize her internship there instead. After a few weeks of working...
I forgot she's an intern. She's not even a freaking employee.
Meets her grandmother in a diner in Connecticut. Rebecca mentions that Mr. Delver's office is the nearby Riverfields mortuary. Her grandmother mentions that she doesn't like that at all, as she's heard strange stories about that particular mortuary. Rebecca brushes it off, but her grandmother hands her a necklace with a cross on it. This particular necklace belonged to Rebecca's father. Next thing we see is Rebecca arriving for work. She signs off some paperwork and Mr. Delver greets Rebecca. He tells her to wheel a cadaver back to cold storage and to grab the body of a Dorothy Page. Rebecca put the body on the gurney and wheels it into position. Rebecca starts looking for identifying marks and then starts the embalming process. During this time, a window slams shut, with Mr. Delver stating that the windows never stay latched, and a load of chemicals fly off their shelves, with Mr. Delver blaming it on incorrect storage. Rebecca also hears creepy whispers.
I don't even remember that first night of him being there. Like, I don't remember him ever being there in the facility. Maybe I need to, like, reset everything and see, like, relive all this stuff.
What was that?
And she sees a few figures walking around.
Ooh.
Just a standard day in a mortuary.
Normal.
She brushes it off, but then as she's finishing up with Dorothy Page, something strange happens. Her face seems to decay, but it's a hallucination, and Mr. Delver snaps Rebecca out of it. He tells her that she can take off and he'll finish up, and then Rebecca reluctantly leaves and goes home. Hours later, in the late evening, Rebecca is on the phone to her friend, and she's worried about both the weird goings-on at the mortuary and that Mr. Delver sending her home early may have ruined her chances at finalizing her internship.
I do remember.
Nonetheless, she receives a call on the other line.
I keep pausing. I'm sorry. It's a react for a reason. I do remember, though, because this is how it all starts in the first place. This is why she does the night shift. Because she was technically working during the day, and he realized that she was being... They'll probably explain it right now, but he realized she was being cursed. And that's why she needed to come back at night to work that specific shift.
It's Mr. Delver. He explains that he's not feeling too well and he needs her to go in. They've had 3 fresh cadavers delivered and he needs Rebecca to come in and embalm them. He tells Rebecca that she's all set and she has passed her internship. And Rebecca, delighted,
she is.
The mortuary.
She is an employee. Never mind. I'm dumb. See, I'm trying to refresh my memory with this. This is really good to watch this.
Bellows in the night sky. She enters the mortuary, but the door slams shut behind her. A creepy figure in a black raincoat puts a phone to their ear, and the office phone rings.
Hello?
The creepy figure outside
I
is revealed to be Mr. Delver.
I remember all this.
He's locked Rebecca in and tells her that he realized what happened earlier. That he didn't realize until it made itself known. And whatever it is, it's bound itself to Rebecca, and Mr. Delver tells Rebecca that the possession has already started. Mr. Delver has locked the door and tells Rebecca she cannot leave for her and other people's safety. She has to get to work in order to solve this. Mr. Delver makes out like he's done this before and says the bodies he works with at night are normally fine, whatever that means. Rebecca thinks that this is just Mr. Delver's way of hazing the new girl, but Mr. Delver goes on to explain that the only way to save herself from possession is to banish the demonic entity by using some of Mr. Delver's strange equipment to essentially bind the demon to its chosen body after learning the identity of the entity, or rather, its name.
The identity of the entity.
After she has identified the demon, she must burn the body in the retort.
I do not burn the body right most of the time. I think my percentage right now, I think I'm at 33%. I burn the body right 1 out of every 3 tries, which is also why I don't get the proper ending.
Fancy word.
I gotta work on that.
Mr. Delver also tells Rebecca that she will be able to use a notepad and pencil as a way of telling her how far into possession she is. That these scribbles will eventually start to be less like scribbles and will become more like symbols.
Spooky
Not
symbols.
ideal. But anyway, Rebecca gets to work. She gets the first cadaver out of cold storage, but this is when very strange things start to happen. Rebecca is checking for identifying marks and the lights go out. Rebecca sees the cadaver sat upright on the gurney just staring at her.
Normal.
But then the lights come back on and everything is back to normal again. Understandably freaked out, Rebecca nopes out and tells herself to leave. This, of course, is entirely optional, but upon trying to get in her car and leave, Rebecca seems to feel a strong urge to stay and finish the work in order to try and free herself of potential possession. She looks up and sees a figure in the door.
Oh.
She stays and finishes embalming the
Terrifying.
bodies.
This
More and
game's
more
so
weird
good.
Things start to happen, and Rebecca sees multiple entities in the mortuary which seem to be tormenting her.
Hey, buddy.
Mr.
F
Delver,
you.
through the use of some handy cassette tapes, told Rebecca to use what are known as letting strips, excerpts from scripture which burn up when a sigil is nearby. The letting strip will violently burst into flames, and the sigils, which get left when there's been some signs of demonic activity in the vicinity, will show up on surfaces. Rebecca will then keep these in mind, as when she has found all 4, she's essentially learnt the name of the demon. Now she needs to find out which body the demon has chosen as its vessel.
I wonder how, I kind of want to see how accurate all this stuff is to like actual life. To stuff that is related to demons that I wouldn't say actually exist, because obviously belief systems and whatnot, but demons that have been written about through religious, scriptures or whatever else. I wonder how much of it's legit and where these sigils come from. I'm curious about that. I need to look into that as
She will
well.
then use a strange clay disc called a mark.
Because this is such an
with the
interesting
discs
thing
with
to me.
sigil symbols placed in the correct places.
It's so
on the
cool
mark,
looking,
and then
too.
place said mark onto the body she thinks the
He's
demon
just
has chosen.
360 burned that
This will then
demon?
bind the
That man just 360 burned that demon like a phase
demon to the
montage.
body. Rebecca chooses
Phase
the
up.
body, places it into the retort.
How do I do that?
burning it.
I don't know how to do the tan thing. I'm not gonna do it. I make the wrong sign. Damn!
A furious explosion takes place and the
Thank
demon
you.
crawls out of the retort and towards Rebecca, only to be dragged back in. Now, 2 things can happen here. Rebecca chose the wrong body, all seems to be fine at first, until Rebecca starts speaking to Mr. Delver. He realizes very quickly that something isn't right. Rebecca has been possessed. The conclusion to this conversation is pretty shocking.
I've seen this ending way too many times. It's not shocking at all. It's totally normal. Just like the rest of the work night. Oh! The way he crunches, though.
To prevent Mr. Delver getting folded up like a
Like he's a
secret note
piece
in
of
class,
trash.
Rebecca needs to choose the right body. In this ending, the good ending, you might think that Rebecca has done it. Mission accomplished. The demon is banished. Wrong. Mr. Delver tells Rebecca that there will always be a chance that this will happen again. Mr. Delver explains that he's spent years upon years learning how to keep the entities at bay, but that they just keep returning. Rebecca accuses Mr. Delver of waging some kind of holy war against demonic forces. Mr. Delver explains that this isn't the case. He also explains that Rebecca is the first person to face this hell and survive it.
Damn.
How many have gone before Rebecca?
I'm curious about that,
By the
too.
way, Mr. Delver asks Rebecca to work the night shift and essentially take over from him, and he offers her a different kind of job to help him banish these evil entities. Mr. Delver said to Rebecca that the demonic forces use the worst parts of you against yourself. You see, the truth is, Rebecca was a very
Rebecca's
troubled
got a
young
lot of
woman
those.
growing up. The more she experiences these demonic forces at work, the more she'll have to confront the deepest, darkest parts of her life. There is another kind of unofficial ending called the game over ending, in which Rebecca takes too long to identify the
I forgot about that. Does that count as one of the 5 endings? Because then I need to just... We'll see right now.
In its chosen body, so she gets fully possessed. This leads to, you guessed it, a game over where Rebecca ends up in a basement and is locked into a coffin by Raymond, whilst Rebecca laughs
I
maniacally.
don't think I've gotten that one.
Raymond? Seriously? Raymond? Why are you hiding?
Dude, that voice is so well done.
You can never.
And okay, he said it, but the first time you got wrong body, someone said meatball time, and now I always think of it meatball time. Oh, because he gets turned into a meatball. That's a sorry, Raymond. Way too much meatball time is unhealthy for you.
Providing
Second
Rebecca
shift.
didn't become possessed or burn the wrong body, and heeding Mr. Delver's warning not to run away, Rebecca turns up for her next shift at the mortuary. She pretty much follows the same pattern as before, seeing more creepy stuff. Not only this,
Grandma.
the phone rings and it's someone from her past.
Her
Impossible.
father.
She also keeps seeing a creepy woman wearing a dirty white dress.
Who is that? I want to know who that is,
Who
because
then
she's also got a
disappears.
picture over there.
A multitude of paranormal activity takes place as Rebecca embalms the cadavers.
Blood
Rebecca
dripping.
is about to see exactly what Mr. Delver meant by her having to confront the darkest parts of herself. She, for some reason, transports to another place entirely. A run-down apartment with drug paraphernalia everywhere. This is actually a representation of Rebecca's old apartment. The phone rings, and 2 guys are inviting Rebecca to a party.
Hell yeah.
She goes to grab her drug stash, but the apartment seems to be flooding. A body floats to the top and says, "You did this to me, and it's all your fault." The body then transforms into the creepy woman Rebecca has been
Who
seeing in
is
the
that?
mortuary, and before being attacked, she is transported back to the mortuary again.
No wild
It doesn't
being
let up
attacked.
at all. One of the cadavers in the middle of the embalming process, arm cracking due to the rigor mortis, points down the hallway. Rebecca runs down it and again sees the creepy woman. She is trapped in a hallway and turns around and sees the stuff of nightmares.
Damn.
A horrific looking entity.
I don't know.
She
What-
continues her
what
embalming
do I call him?
process, but
Morty?
she turns around and the cadaver is gone. She walks down the hallway and is transported, or rather dragged,
Morty
to
the
another
Mimic?
place
Whatever the
entirely.
heck he's called.
This place appears to be a representation of a mental hospital. After walking into the room labeled high
Oh,
risk, a version
that's
of
why it says
Rebecca
high
is
risk. That makes
hanging.
sense.
She's holding her 10-year sobriety coin, indicating her efforts to get clean. We'll dive further into that a bit later. This
That's the
version of
ending we need to
Rebecca
look
grabs
for.
her and the
Or
rope
no,
snaps, indicating that at some point Rebecca attempted to take while in hospital.
censor because YouTube are triggered by the word. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
She leaves this madness and jumps back to reality. She works out which body is the chosen vessel, and as usual, upon burning the body after using the mark,
This is completely random to the lore, but I'm also going to have to start learning how to dance around YouTube's monetization stuff, because so many big YouTubers like this complain about how sensitive YouTube is. And even just from uploading some of my shorts and videos, and like being in the horror genre itself has got to be pretty difficult, considering games like this, that specific word is like a really big no-no apparently, and that's what a lot of the game is
the
about.
demon
It's
bangs
crazy.
and screams, the explosion happens, and assuming that she's chosen the correct body, Rebecca comes to. Rebecca asks Mr. Delver if all of this will ever end, to which he replies that he doesn't know, but that he's been doing it for a long time, that he's even travelled across the world to learn more about what's going on and how to deal with it. To this day, he's not found anything that can directly deal with the problem, that what they are doing now is just a temporary solution.
Wait, maybe
He
I
says
did
that
get the
better
second
they know
ending then.
themselves, the stronger they are, and therefore that means the less the demons can use against them to torment them with. For now, the shift ends, and that's it for the standard endings. We've covered the good ending, the bad ending, and what is known as the standard ending, but there are a couple more. So this leads us nicely into the next part of this
Okay,
video.
these are the ones I don't know about, I believe. Oh, no. I do know about the basement, but I
We've
did
already
skip a lot of
established that
lore.
Rebecca had a trouble.
I'm pausing. I know. It's my react, guys. It's my react. But I did know about the basement ending, but I was so worried about the timing being like all thrown off, because you are timed and the demon will fully possess you if you take too long, that even though I did do the basement ending, I feel like I didn't get all the lore, specifically because I was so scared and I was rushing around. So this is why
But
videos like
what
this,
exactly happened to her?
thank you so
In the
much.
previous ending, Rebecca visited a version of the hospital where she saw a hanging version of herself, and she had a 10-year sobriety coin in her hand.
Oh, yeah.
If Rebecca takes her 10-year sobriety coin and her father's 5-year coin, along with the necklace before leaving her apartment. This leads us towards the ending titled Closure, and this route through the shift gives us a little bit more of the backstory behind
So
Rebecca.
we've been doing that, but I haven't been getting
Let's
that
dive
ending.
into it.
Yes,
Rebecca's
please.
mother
Now we're
was
going to learn.
herself very troubled. She had a drug
Oh,
problem.
I've seen this
At one
once.
point, Rebecca's mother overdosed and she died.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, Rebecca went down a similar path to her mother and ended up a drug addict herself. Rebecca eventually moved into a rather unsavory apartment block, and by the looks of it, she wasn't living well. Not at all. As already seen earlier in the video, there was drug paraphernalia everywhere. At some point in time, Rebecca would go missing. Rebecca's father would report her missing and eventually found her lying on the ground in the rain. She had overdosed and her father went to get help from the police search party who were
He just
nearby.
trips and falls.
But when her father was running back to her, he slipped on the wet ground, hit his head and fell into the water next to them both. He died.
Damn.
This,
What a
in a way,
crazy
forced Rebecca to
way
sort
to
her
die.
life out and get clean. She was somewhat inspired by her father, as he was an addict himself at one point and had just passed his own 5-year sobriety mark. Rebecca was hospitalized
sad.
as a result of her overdose, but was considered high risk, as in suicide risk.
Ooh.
They prescribed her antidepressants, but whilst in hospital, it appears from this at least that she tried to take her life again. Rebecca, judging from this
It
note,
just blurs the
states that
entire
she
thing.
thinks that she cut her father's life short and was guilty about the fact that she was living. While she was in the hospital, she was allowed to keep her father's necklace, but due to her
we have read this
guilt, she
before.
couldn't
These are
look
the
at it
notes.
anymore and gave it to her grandmother, which is why her grandmother had it at the start of the game.
Grandma!
And why Rebecca was so reluctant to take it, because she was guilty about her father's death. Over the next 10 years, Rebecca would stay clean, and she managed to get to 10 years of sobriety. She picked in the
Oh, that's
opinion
her
of
coin.
grandmother,
Okay.
a particularly macabre field, but she had something to focus on and something to aim for. And this leads us then into the start of the game. So it's very clear that, as Mr. Delver said, the demonic forces were trying to torment Rebecca with the darkest parts of her past in order to break her down, I guess. This is seen through the moments where she sits down in her apartment and gets chased by the creepy woman, and also where she encounters her father on a gurney and she hits him in the head with a rock, signifying that she is directly responsible for her father's death.
Oh.
In this closure ending,
Have I
Rebecca
seen
has
this?
an encounter with what could be the spirit of her father, telling her that everything is alright and that she'll be safe. He
Aw.
tells her that it's not her fault that she was exposed to that life in the first place. And he tells her to go on, setting souls free and letting the dead rest. So that explains Rebecca and why she was being tormented with the things she was seeing. But the next thing we need to look into is Raymond Delver.
Why? What is wrong with Raymond?
So
Oh, no,
how
no,
did
they're
this
going to
all
explain
happen
how
in
he's
the
a
first place?
beast. He's a
During one of the
badass.
shifts, Rebecca approaches the bathroom and sees a woman standing against the wall, crying, and the woman points at the mirror. On the mirror is a photograph of Riverfield's mortuary, and after some code breaking, a key safe inside one of the cupboards reveals a key for a hatch outside,
This was a mission to
leading
get
to a
done.
basement. Now this basement appears to be where Raymond was making his letting strips and the marks, which need to be placed on the chosen body. Raymond was making these himself, so he obviously knows a lot about this process. He's so familiar with it that when this happened, he sent Rebecca home straight away, as he knew enough to realise that the demon had bound itself to her. This basement is a treasure trove of information regarding Raymond and his shady background.
I didn't look at any of it
There's a
either.
diary in the basement which goes back to 1984. According to an entry from May 29th, 1984, Raymond witnessed one of his staff, David, or rather David's demeanour, change slightly. Raymond talks about David becoming irritable the moment that a body was brought into the mortuary. David went home sick, but went back to work later on, stating that he felt he had to come back. Is this the same compulsion which prevented Rebecca from leaving in her car? Let's continue. Raymond gave David a camcorder and told him to record anything unusual, and if we look on Raymond's computer, we can see how that went.
Alright. This working? Yeah. This thing is huge.
Have I seen this before?
Uh,
Oh, I have. I have seen this.
This is David. Raymond, this feels insane, but I think you were right. This has happened a few times now, but let me see if I can get in here.
Does it move? Oh, it does.
There it is. Fuck. Fuck!
Yep, so something happened to David, but it didn't
I've
end there.
never noticed
April
small
3rd,
twitches like that.
1985, James. August 10th, 1985, Andrea. November 16th, 1987, Angela. But then we find this. On the same date, November 16th, 1987, Raymond talks about someone called Maria, that Raymond had to leave her to keep her safe. But then just over a year later, Raymond finds this journal again and writes that he stopped his life to take care of her, and that she brought this in. The final page of the journal states that it's not fair to blame her. Well, I'm guessing this is Maria. She died at some point, and I guess she was possessed herself. One particular journal entry in Raymond's diary is from 9 years prior. On March 29th, 1989, Raymond took a trip to Egypt to meet a man named Akil Salah. This trip lasted just over a month, and it made Raymond completely broke. He'd spent all his money on the trip, but he felt it was worth it due to the mountain of information he'd gained from Akil. Information which changed a lot of what he believed. Raymond was hopeful about finding a way to solve whatever was happening, but around 8 months later, Raymond expresses his anger at the fact that he is no closer to finding a way to stop it. He mentions a woman named Valerie and the fact that she didn't deserve this. In fact, Raymond states that none of them did. Well, after a quick walk to the adjoining room, Rebecca finds out exactly what this is. Raymond has been keeping a woman inside a coffin, kept in the basement, arm exposed, and the coffin is padlocked. This is Valerie.
Jesus. Threatening to murder somebody and then asking for help is typically not how you want to approach these things, guys. Just let's get that across right now. Demon or not, don't threaten to murder them first. Dude, the voice they do for the demons is so good, though. I love it. Whoever does the voice acting for this is phenomenal.
Who are you now?
I'm Rebecca. Hi.
You may recognize her as this woman here.
Ooh,
She's
how
just
have I never
another one
pieced that
in the long
together?
list of people that have had something happen to them whilst working
That
in
make
the
a sense.
mortuary.
That make a sense.
Valerie clearly wanted Rebecca to find her in order to free her. At times, Valerie seems herself, but then a demonic presence inside of her comes to the forefront and starts threatening Rebecca. Anyway, back to Raymond's diary. Around a month after imprisoning Valerie in the coffin,
It's rude to read people's diaries, unless it's for lore purposes.
Raymond mentions in this entry that it's been 30 years, which indicates that this has been going on since 1960, when Raymond would have been around 16 years old when he first encountered this, and he's been looking for answers ever since. In this entry, he also talks about a theory that he has, but he needs to write to Akil in order to check if it's a viable option. Not to stop it, but to try to keep the possession at bay. He sends the package explaining his creation of the mark and sigil symbols. Raymond believed that this creation would work in tandem with the mark to create a reaction in order to bind the demon to that body. Akil writes back and thinks that it'll work. He does in his reply, though, state his confusion as to why Raymond needs the blood of the possessed to identify the body if the person possessed has already been identified. It's clear that Raymond hasn't really been forthcoming about his true motives and what's going on. So, Raymond put his plan into action. Valerie's arm was exposed outside the coffin due to the fact that Raymond would use her blood, the blood of the possessed, as a reagent during the embalming process.
Oh, that's what that is?
He would drain it from Valerie and place it inside bottles to use in order to cause a reaction. And of course, Rebecca would then use this reagent in the embalming mixture. Another month later, in February 1990,
sense.
Raymond realized that he needed to use himself as a conduit for possession and survive it.
Wait, what? If I can establish myself as a potential conduit and survive the possession using these tools, I think I may be able to take control as well as keep this from happening to others. I don't know what this means for Valerie. It's the only piece of this I don't know how to live with, but I might have to. Otherwise, it's all meant for nothing. Dude, that's baller shit. To willingly get possessed?
Oh. Come up with. He figured he may be able to take control and stop it happening to others.
Or not.
I'm guessing this backfired.
Technically
as Raymond
control.
left audio cassettes in the
But allowing them in the first place.
basement, saying that he had been possessed.
This is Raymond Delver. I know this will sound crazy, but I believe I am being possessed. If I am to disappear, know that it was not of my own free will, and that I am a danger to anyone I may encounter.
Dude.
I should be killed on sight. This sounds terrible, but the woman locked in the basement must also be killed.
Seems old Raymond has been sacrificing other people to prevent himself from being fully possessed by the entity, and he expresses guilt at the lives lost. But there was just one loose end. Valerie. Raymond didn't really know what to do with her, but she did serve a purpose to him. Her blood would be used as the reagent. I guess Raymond's motive was to stop this demonic entity from ever getting out of the mortuary, and in Raymond's eyes, if that meant other people being used as pawns to help him do that, then so be it.
The end justifies the means.
So finally, in this game, we face a fair few entities or demons.
Are we gonna get to know what that thing is for once?
So
Oh my goodness!
By looking at what they are and where
Yes,
exactly
please.
they came from.
Oh, I'm so excited.
There were the obvious
Grandma!
hallucinations, such as Rebecca's grandmother and Rebecca's father, which were brought on by the demonic entities themselves as a way of tormenting Rebecca. Firstly, this computer speaks of covetous demons. Now, the definition for covetous is the desire to possess something belonging to someone else. But where did these covetous demons come from? Well, after Satan fell from grace, or as the Bible puts it in Ezekiel, he fell like lightning from heaven, he forged a great hall and then formed 3 houses: desolation, immolation, and invidiousness, and Satan then gives position of power to his disciples in each of the houses. Their job? To covet the sinful souls of humans and gather them up in order to bring destruction to God's creation on earth, or something. The disciples built armies, and these would be known as the covetous demons. The covetous demons have to mark their 4 sigils, which essentially spell out their name, into the world of the living in order to facilitate the evocation, which basically means to invoke a spirit. We are aware that there was a demonic spirit trying to possess Raymond and also Rebecca. We see it here, and this was likely the covetous demon. Is this what Raymond was referring to when he said in the...
I'm not religious, and so when I say this, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. But that's like the way that is like created, that this is gonna sound bad. The world crafting for what that like demonic type of entity is, or like the halls, the whole entire hell thing. Again, I'm not trying to be rude. I know some people are like, oh, my religion is not meant to be your little storybook, whatever. I'm sorry. I think it's just really cool. It's really interesting, I guess is a better way to phrase it. But yeah, between the halls and like the sigils and all that stuff, it's super interesting to look at.
Journal that she
read
brought
about.
this in. Did this person, who I believe to be Maria, unleash a demon onto Raymond after she died as punishment for leaving her in the first place? It's just a theory, but could potentially be true. According to Raymond's computer...
Ugh, the one on the left? Who? I need to know who that picture is in the main lobby as well.
3 demons we encounter in the game are known as the lesser spirits. It says here that no one entity is strong enough to break into the world of the living on their own and must rely on other spirits to achieve this goal. The first of these lesser spirits is the woman in white. She comes from the House of Desolation. This entity can
I didn't even see this picture. Oh my god. I saw it, but I didn't see it. She's just, I hate old photos like that. They need I will uppercut the shit out of you, lady. Wait, hold on. I do want to read this. The woman in white. This is all on the computer, and I have not looked into any of it because I'm so scared of the timer going down and me losing tonight, even though I lose anyways. A fleeting manifestation of the House of Desolation. This entity has the power to have a more physically influential presence in our world. A covetous demon will form a bond with this spirit long enough to reach between worlds and perform its desired task, be it spying on its victim, attacking, or funneling demonic energies to make them more susceptible to possession. The woman in white is only a partial physical presence. While it can inflict harm to the living, it is limited in its power and will dissipate quickly. Okay, I wonder, this is my guess, is these 3 are different, they have like different attributes for like, this one can inflict harm, but it's limited in power. The other ones are like more mental, maybe. I don't like they got stats like they're freaking Pokemon. I don't know.
Comes from the House of
Maybe that's not a
Desolation.
good comparison,
this
but
entity can harm the living, but again has limited power and dissipates quickly.
I hate that
desolation
bitch.
is defined as a state of complete emptiness or destruction.
That made me jump. That's the worst one. I knew that was going to be that to me. That's the worst jump scare in the entire game.
Explains why the woman in white seems to taunt Rebecca with the dark recesses of her old life and the emptiness that came with it. The second entity is the Shadow Man.
A weaker manifestation of the House of Immolation. The Shadow Man is often seen as a guide, though it may also be used to spy on the living. A covetous demon may form a bond with the spirit to attempt to influence or confuse its victims. The Shadow Man is often seen standing out of the corner of the eye, moving quickly in and out of sight, or lurking. Okay, so this one's meant to just spy and be... Dude, that picture is also terrifying. Like, I wonder if that's like somebody's actual picture that's like been uploaded to the internet, which might sound crazy. I don't know, but people upload stuff. Yeah, so this one is the attempt to influence or confuse. Okay, so this one's just to confuse you.
This one comes from the House of
I guess this is the thing of like seeing shadow people in the corner of your eye and stuff like that. It's just meant to like throw you off and make you think somebody's there.
Immolation. Considered to spy on the living.
Oh,
Immolation is
I've
defined
never
as
gotten
to
that.
Kill or offer as a sacrifice.
Oh, I've never
I
gotten
guess
that.
kind of what Raymond was doing. And I guess also what Rebecca was doing in using these cadavers to burn them to get rid of the demon. And then finally,
The Mimic.
The Mimic.
Morty the Mimic. The Mimic is a weaker manifestation of the House of Invidiousness and is used primarily to view the living. The Mimic is the embodiment of the devil's envy of humanity. This manifestation longs to look as humans as possible but suffers eternally to only ever be a stiff, disfigured shell. What the true form of the Mimic is behind the shell is unknown. It has been recorded many times on closed-circuit television, often viewing the living only to vanish quickly when seen. Yeah. That's a lot of words to say the Mimic is a big old pussy. And it's anytime I walk up to that guy, he's running away like the little pussy he is. Oh, the second I get close to that, he's getting a knuckle sandwich. Oh, the little 1-2 buckle my shoe.
This is the one that freaked me out the most. An absolute mess of an entity, this one. This one comes from the House of Invidiousness and aims to look as much like humans as possible. Its true form isn't known due to the disguise, but is apparently the embodiment of the devil's envy of humanity. Invidiousness is defined as an action likely to arouse.
I do call him a pussy, but he does get the most jump scares out of me because he just appears out of nowhere. Like he's just so good at showing up right when I don't want him to.
Incur resentment or anger in others. I'm thinking this could be a manifestation of
Big old.
anything, really. Raymond probably peeved a lot of people during his years sacrificing others. All of these lesser spirits form bonds with the covetous demon in order to facilitate possession of a victim and to confuse or influence the victim, which essentially would leave that victim more open and susceptible to demonic possession.
What?
So there's plenty to speculate on in this game and think about, but that's it for this video.
So that's Mortuary Assistant. Like I said, we don't have all the endings yet. We've been trying our absolute best. I think the thing we need to try for the most is actually just not burning the wrong body for once, since that seems to be the thing that I struggle with the most. But overall, you know, it's a fun video to watch, nonetheless. Even though we haven't had the endings, we know somewhat how to get them. And I think we're just 2 away, which would be the good ending, and then I forget what else. I know we got the basement, surprisingly. But we'll look into it and we'll see what we can get going. But I did want to know more about this stuff. You know, it's interesting to play the game. But I get so caught up in just actually playing the game that I forget to sometimes read through these things and read through the lore. And even then, I don't really put the time in to understand a lot of this stuff. So it becomes an issue when I start misunderstanding parts of the lore, misunderstanding parts of the story that would help me maybe look to get the ending or look to enjoy it a little bit more. And that's what Gaming Harry comes in place. Because that man, we've watched a lot of his videos already. We've reacted quite a bit. He's a legend in his own right. So we're going to keep playing some Mortuary Assistant. We're going to shoot for those endings when we can. But until then, we at least have a little more info on how the nights go. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed the reaction content, feel free to click the like button. Maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time. Mucho love, my friends.